Hi-fi turntables to me are a bit of a curious thing. I grew up in DJ culture. I own two 1200s. I have a mixer. I once aspired in my younger days to be a full-time DJ. Never really panned out, but I sort of approach turntables as like a musical instrument where, you use them to create fun DJ mixes and all the like. And I never really considered owning like a standalone hi-fi turntable ever. When it came to picking up a turntable for myself, I've gotten to review a fair amount of like hi-fi turntables, and none of them really just appealed to me until Cambridge released the Alva. It's now in its second generation. It's the V2, the Alva TT V2. Being a Cambridge fanboy, I was like, I like the way this one looks because it sort of looks like my Techniques turntable minus like the pitch control and the more industrial look to it. This one's a bit more refined looking, though it's a little bit more expensive than a budget turntable. So when they sent over the CXA 81, I jumped at the chance to maybe ask, hey, can you send along the turntable too? It'd be a fun sort of review, especially because I own so many other Cambridge components. And so they obliged and they sent that one over too. And so here we are. My name's Taps. This is 0102 Studio, and this is kind of a review of the Alva TT V2 turntable. While I'm drawn to the visual appeal of hi-fi turntables, like all of them, they all look really cool. I'm not so much drawn to their function. They also feel a little bit precious and sometimes a bit fragile. And that's kind of been like the barrier to entry for me with these turntables, where with like my Techniques, I beat the crap out of them. I use them in ways that an audiophile would like cringe at. Like I'm rough with my vinyl. Most of my vinyl is pretty rough and dusty and beat up. All the sleeves are frayed and some of them are ripped. Some of them don't even have sleeves anymore. I'm not overly precious with my vinyl. So I would want a hi-fi turntable that at least looks like it could take a beating, even though I was going to be extremely gentle with it because, it's not mine right now. The Alva TT V2 is a direct drive turntable with Bluetooth and a defeatable phono stage built in, and it retails for $19.99 US. This being a V2, there have been some upgrades over the original that include a new tone arm with anti-skate, a counterweight adjustment, a detachable head shell. Also, the phono stage being defeatable is new, and a direct answer to customer feedback. It's not a budget offering, but Cambridge does offer a more budget-friendly ST turntable for $5.99. Incidentally, the supplied cartridge would cost about $4.99 if bought separately, so it's like a $1,500 turntable. The turntable is pretty heavy too. It's about 22 pounds. The Alva TT V2 is gorgeous. It's like a stripped-down 1200 and then beautified. The plinth is thick and heavy with an aluminum top plate. The finish is in the same lunar gray that you see on all the new CX components. On the right corner, you find a subtly engraved Cambridge logo. On the other side is a power button and speed controls. The buttons are similar to the ones on the CX amps. The new tone arm is satin black. The platter is made from something called polyoxymethylene, which is some sort of heavy plastic used for engineering or something. And the deck has soft feet. The cover is a familiar translucent gray that you see on a lot of other turntables. There's also no felt mat. Vinyl goes directly on the platter, and I love that. Around the back you find analog connections, a Bluetooth switch, a pairing button, the phono switch, the power switch and outlet, and the ground. Cambridge has also continued their implementation of upside-down labeling for leaning over the turntable to connect stuff. Bluetooth aptX HD offers 24-bit, 48 kHz architecture, and the codec is 576 kilobytes per second, which is great. You can also stream Bluetooth to headphones if you wish. Cambridge is doing something kind of like what Apple did, where they're creating a bit of an ecosystem with their products. And for a fanboy like me, that's totally great. But their integrated amps don't have phono stages, and they sell separate phono stages. But this turntable has a phono stage built in, so it connects easily, and I don't really have to worry about it. And they're sort of covering all the bases with all of these components, where They all kind of look the same, so they all look great together. And so if you own this turntable and you're looking to upgrade your amp, like the CXA81 is a great pair for that because it looks visually similar and they look great sitting next to each other. Not having an external phono stage for me is a complete win. No external phono stage means no extra box, less wires, happier wife. Setting up this turntable is a breeze. Unlike most hi-fi turntables, you aren't required to build a turntable. Like you unbox it, you don't have to put the belt on, you don't have to thread needles and string to make the counterweight work. You don't have to like fuss with putting the platter on, none of that stuff. You unbox it, you put it on your shelf, you connect it, insert the head shell, cartridge is pre-installed, and you're off to the races. I unboxed this and got it on my shelf and all set up in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I think the ease of setup makes this turntable a great higher end starter turntable. Like if you're looking to jump into vinyl or if you wanted to upgrade your turntable from a budget one, this is a great one to look at because it's so easy. You can, if you want, and if you're keen, upgrade the phono stage later if you want better performance. You can upgrade the supplied interconnects to more expensive ones if you choose. You can also switch out the cartridge for a more expensive one. And you can do all of these things to upgrade this turntable if you want in the future. I did none of that for this review because this turntable was sound-wise a big step up from what I have back there. My decks back there, I've had now for about 20 years. They're pretty beat up. I've had to take them apart to like clean out grease because I put them in storage when we moved and I think everything locked up. And now all my measurements and everything's off. Like I have to get them serviced properly, but right now they're a mess and I kind of just do it by weight and feel of how I remember these turntables to be. The cartridges I have on those are the Shure M44, I think 7s, and I think the other one's an M44G. They don't match up at all. I can hear the difference, but I haven't spent the money on new cartridges, and I'm not going to anytime soon, to be honest. But yeah, this Alva turntable sounds better overall. Also, if you're wondering, this being a direct drive turntable, getting it up to speed takes about 1 revolution once you do start it up, which is pretty good. It's not as quick as like the start and stop on a Technics 1200, but it's not made for that purpose. And I also imagine that if you're going to use like this for just casual listening, you're not going to be in a massive rush to get it up to speed anyway. And it's not as cumbersome as like a belt drive turntable, especially because with this being direct drive, switching from 33 to 45 is a push of a button. And on a belt drive turntable, you got to take the turntable apart to switch speeds, which is stupid and such a pain in the ass. So yeah, direct drive for the win. The phono stage being defeatable on this turntable was a bit of a game changer for me in that in the last year, I was lucky enough to review a bunch of different integrated amps, and all of those amps had phono stages in them. And so I was able to connect directly to those phono inputs and defeating the phono stage on the turntable to see how that phono stage sounded. And then I could connect just to an analog input and then turn on the phono stage in the turntable and then compare to see which one sounded better. The phono stage in the turntable is pretty damn good. Like there was almost no difference in my view between the Audiolab 9000A's phono stage and the one inside the turntable. I think a more critical ear would be able to tell the difference, but I definitely couldn't. And more often than not, I just ended up using the internal phono stage on the turntable over the one built into the amps just because it was easy. Bluetooth also worked really well for me. Having the CXA81 in-house, of course, the Bluetooth connection was rock solid. It worked every single time. But I also got to try it out with, again, the Audiolab 9000A, the Roxana Tessa amplifiers, the Mission 778X, and the Rotel S14. And all of them were able to connect pretty quickly for the most part. Maybe not as quickly as the CXA81, but I mean, they're different brands, but they're all able to connect. The Bluetooth was also cool for listening on headphones. while I don't listen to headphones as much as I used to, I don't commute anymore. So, I mean, that's a good 90% of my headphone listening. But I did take the opportunity to chuck some vinyl on and put my Bluetooth headphones on and then go into the kitchen in another room and then just make lunches for the next day or prep dinner or do some late night barbecuing. And I wasn't really disturbing anyone with loud music. And it was a really nice to have in this turntable. I did keep my connection hardwired most of the time. I mean, mostly because like I am going to be doing reviews with the turntable involved, and it's good to know that I have the best possible connection to amplifiers versus Bluetooth. But if I'm being honest, like, could I tell you outright that I was able to like pull the difference between Bluetooth and hardwired most of the time? No, it sounds pretty close. And it's a really good, whatever the Bluetooth they put in here sounds really good. Admittedly, most of that record collection behind you is 12-inch singles. I never really tended to buy a lot of albums. And the albums that I did buy, they were mostly DJ-friendly versions where they were like 12-inch singles, essentially. Sometimes 8-pack, sometimes a 4-pack. And that's what I would buy album-wise if I really liked the songs that were on said albums. And also, as I mentioned, I'm pretty rough with my vinyl. I don't play nice with it. A lot of that vinyl is pretty beat up. Some of the sleeves are torn. Things don't look great. Like, here, let me just grab one really quick. Botech, the Bleeps tune. I'm going to talk about this later. But like this thing, I don't know if you guys can see this, but look how beat up that is. It's not good. And when I handle my vinyl, when I'm DJing, audiophiles, get ready. This is how I handle my vinyl. Look at that. My hands all over it. That's how I handle it. And I slap it down like that. Like I don't treat it nicely. When I did first set up this turntable, I had it connected to the Audiolab 9000A. And the first track that I played was Paradox's remix of Blocks and Escher's Broken. It was just in my head at the time that I was setting it all up. I love that song. If you're not familiar with Paradox, he does love his drum breaks, and he's an expert at chopping up drum breaks. And this track in particular, for some reason, just does it for me. Like the background ambience of it, like the bass, just everything. And the second drop on this is just exceptional. I love it to death. If you can seek this track out, I'll see if I can put a link to it below if you care to listen to it. Love that song. But what I noticed was the Audiolab 9000A is a lot more transparent and neutral in nature. So there's a lot more clarity in the song, and I was able to hear like there's more snap and a bit more definition on the kicks and the snares and a lot of the more higher end register information, but not a lot of oomph in the bass. And so with this turntable connected, I was just hearing more detail, more of the pops and clicks, more everything. And it kind of set me back a bit because I just thought, oh my God, is it the cartridge involved? Like, is it not as robust as, say, like what I'm used to hearing? Turns out it was actually the amplifier. Same goes for the Roxana Tessa amplifiers. I'm not going to belabor this too much, but that one's a bit brighter. The Audiolab's a bit more neutral. And the Cambridge CXA81, which is, if you haven't seen that review, I love that amplifier. And it is the perfect balance between all of the things that I love. And it has enough oomph there, has enough detail there. And so when I did end up playing this song back through the CXA81 with the turntable connected, all of that bass energy was back. All of that oomph was back. The grunt of the song, it just sounded way more full. And all of the detail that I heard that I wasn't used to hearing on my turntables was present in the song. And so I have to think that the phono stage and the cartridge that they're using, they don't really specify what it is or who makes it. I have to think that that stuff is awesome. And it's, for me, it's a pretty big jump in what I'm used to hearing off my 1200s, and kind of makes me not want to use them anymore because I'm, kind of once you hear it, it's hard to go back. But yeah, sounds really good. Told you I was going to talk about this. Again, Photek, Bleeps Tune, great record. I own multiple copies of this. I own multiple copies of most of Photek's music. I'm just so not kind with my vinyl that I end up having to find other copies of this to play. But yeah, I don't know. There's something really nice about that record. There's like a Photekness to the way he makes his music, like the way he chops drums and puts everything together. And there's a bit of magic in his music from that time period that I adore. And all of that magic, like, I don't know how to describe it. Through this turntable, I was just able to hear more of like the grit and like some of the this distortion on drums and some of the fun stuff he threw into the song that I was able to appreciate more just kind of sitting back and listening to the vinyl. I don't know how often I've actually just done that. I normally just chuck it in a mix versus sitting down and listening to it. That was really nice to do. And it was really cool to hear the more within this, you know? With the Alva TT, the CXA81, the speakers I was using was the Modern Audio Silver 100s and the Wharfedale Evo 4.2s. Both of those speakers were a really good match for that amplifier. The Silver 100s are a bit more tighter, a bit cleaner, and a bit more, dare I say, clinical. And the Wharfedale Evo 4.2s were a bit more old school, a bit more warmer, a bit more robust, and they're bigger speakers, so they have a bit more heft to them as well. If I was to put a dream system together, I think it would be the Wharfedales, the 81, and the Alva TT. Like, that's just such a wonderful pairing altogether. I have nothing bad to say about those three together. It's just, if you can, buy those. That's my reco. I enjoyed this turntable so much that I just ran through all kinds of different music. I'm not going to try to describe how each of these individual records sounded, but oh my God, I still have the price tag on this one from like a decade ago. This one is Harlem Bush Music by Gary Bartz. There's one track there's pretty much only one track on this that I listen to. It's Celestial Blues. Yeah, great song. I played that a whole bunch of times on this setup. Mecca and the Soul Brother, P-Rock Seal Smooth. Just one of the greatest hip hop records ever made for me personally. Yeah, sounded great. It's a bit more lo-fi, if I'm allowed to say that about someone else's music, but it's early 90s hip hop. But it has, and I think every single song on this album was amazing. So yeah, this was playing a lot. The Cure, Mixed Up. There's one tune in particular. It is Pictures of You, that dub remix that they have of it. That sounds incredible on the CXA81 and Wharfedales. That was played very, very loud. Oh, Smith & Wesson, The Shinin'. For whatever reason, I don't know if this is a reissue. I never really looked into it. But this sounds really, really good through on this turntable. Like, it just sounds way more clean and clear than I remember it sounding, because I only had the tape back in the day. Moving back to drum and bass, the Orchestra, Ivy Lab, and Alex Perez. There's a track called Maiden on here that just I can play over and over again. Absolutely love it. Let me skip past all these other ones. This one. Sorry. Once I got really into the sound of this turntable and I had the setup all dialed in, this went on. It's the Four Hero remix of I Am the Black Gold of the Sun. I'm stuttering and slurring a lot. But yeah, the Four Hero remix of I Am the Black Gold of the Sun. This tune, it has everything. If you haven't heard it before, I'll try to find a link and post it below. It's incredible, especially when it all kicks in. Yeah. But now when I think of this setup, I think of this tune. I play it more often than not. Yeah, love it. One of the things that made doing this review a bit more special to me was that my daughter, who's turning 8 soon, has taken a liking to vinyl, and because she sees it all around the house, that she's like, "Oh, what's this? Is it a turntable? I'd like to buy some music." And so I took her record shopping for the first time, and the first piece of vinyl she bought was the new Taylor Swift album. And I'm not mad at it. It's not bad. And watching her listen to that record with the full artwork of the album all strewn out, and sitting there and actually listening to the music and taking in that experience versus just looking at a phone or looking at Spotify or something, it was really nice. And it's one of the things I hope to do more in the future. My son, who's like 4, doesn't really care about vinyl or anything just yet, but he does love him some Coldplay, and he likes that Post Malone track on the Spider-Verse soundtrack. It's only that album, I think, costs like $35-$40 Canadian. I'm not going to pick that up for him for one track just yet. We'll see if he likes it in a few months or years. But yeah, vinyl with the kids, fun. So this is a great lifestyle turntable. It fits in really easy with your life, and it's really easy to set up. And for me, selfishly, I was able to discover listening to music on vinyl with my kids, and that was just amazing altogether. And if you're looking to either upgrade your turntable or pick up a new turntable, and you don't mind spending a bit more, knowing that you can either just live with it and love it, or upgrade it in the future, give this one a shot. And if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.